Hey, beautiful, it's you again. It's so nice to see you. I'm back for yet another 11 o'clock live Facebook post. And this time we are talking about joy. This is part of the Office series that I'm doing for this month. And I'm talking about the joy within our office and how to surround ourselves with the joy without creating too much clutter. Hi, Teresa. I'm so glad you made it this time. Good to see you. So this week, like I mentioned, all about the office, all about spreading joy around ourselves without necessarily adding a whole lot to the clutter. And I have a few ways that I really love to do this. One of my favorite ways that I like to surround myself with joy is I am really big into photos. I love to see the photos of the things that are important to me, the events that happened, and all that surrounds me. The problem is there are so many photos. There is no way to put that many photos up at one time. And if they're in a box or in an album, you just forget them, right? Like, when's the last time you really opened that photo album? It's probably been a while. I know for me, it's been a very long while. So I wanted to share just a couple of tricks that I use to keep myself inspired and motivated in the office with my photos, by keeping the important things and what I'm working towards in front of my face while not just surrounding myself with photos. So one of my favorite tricks, and I do this both in the office and throughout the house, is with photo frames. Now, you're thinking that's a whole lot of frames for all the photos that I have, but it does not have to be. So what I have, and I'll pull out some of my supplies here. These are the two supplies that I use all the time for frames. And let me set this up for you. So with my photo frames, I have the album. My album happens to be in a decorative box with more photos on the box because, well, why not? You know, another opportunity for photos. But within the box, it's one of those hanging ones that we've all seen that you forget to actually open up and pull out. Mine are organized by the event type. So you'll see, and I just wrote it with tape on the picture holder, but you'll see, like this one says St. Patrick's. So these are some of the photos from St. Patrick's Day or Father's Day. So as these holidays show up, I have empty frames that I just switch out the photos for. And I've just got a box of these empty frames. That is all of the real estate that I keep in the house for it. It's probably better on this side. But you'll just see that they're very basic frames. I found them on Amazon. Super, super cheap. The important thing is that they're easy to open up and change out. So I have Easter in here because we had a wedding and there was just too much crazy to be changing things out. So Easter's the last one that I did this for. But I just pop out the photos from Easter, slide them into the Easter slot, and pop in whatever the next holiday is. I also do this just around the office with some of my favorite things that I want to keep in mind. So you'll see on my bookshelf, I actually have a frame up right now. I'm just going to carry you with me for this one because it'll just be easier. But I have a combination. I've got the frame. Now, this reminds me, it's not just a wedding, but it reminds me of the time I was on a cruise with this lovely lady, Rochelle. And we took an opportunity to talk to somebody that we'd never met before. And she happened to be getting married during that cruise, and she invited us to her wedding. We just met her. So we saw this absolutely wonderful wedding on the beach in, I think it was, was it St. Martin? Anyways, it was on an island. It was beautiful, and we would not have done that if we'd not taken the chance and just struck up a conversation with somebody just for the heck of it. So I keep those there to remind myself, A, how blessed I am, that wonderful things happen in my life, and B, to take a chance and just strike up a conversation with someone new. It can't hurt, trust me. So I keep that as not only joy, but also as reminders about concepts that I'm trying to keep front of mind. And it's easy to do with changing out the photo frames. After a while, we stop seeing the photos. They just are there and they exist in the background. But if you change them out, then they become top of mind again. The other thing that I love to do as far as photos go, or as far as if I'm trying to remember something and keep a concept or thought in front of my mind, even if it's something where maybe it's a habit change, then I use wallpapers a lot. I am always on my phone or I'm on my computer. So how that looks with my computer, the backdrop of my computer, right now this is on my computer because this is my motivation. My family motivates me. They're the reason that I get up in the morning. They're the reason that I put in the work that I put in, because I want more time and more experiences with them. And then the other way that I use it, I can show you on my phone. I'll put quotes. This one, as you scroll through, you can see, but this quote right now that I have is my favorite quote at the moment. Empowered women empower women. And that right there is one of the main focuses of my business. That's why I do what I do, to empower other women to be able to do more with their lives and not be held back and shine in whatever they are supposed to be doing in this world. So my goal is to remove anything blocking them by removing that clutter, giving them a free mind, a peaceful space so they can thrive. That quote reminds me of that, because business should not be about the money. The money comes if you do what's important and if you do what's right. So I keep that top of mind every single day. Yeah, I love that quote too, Ruth. I have a t-shirt. It's just ridiculous. Right now, that is my favorite. But those are two ways that I keep digital photos or different things that I want to remember in the front of my mind and spread joy in my day. I mean, every time I see my family or a quote that gets me motivated, that surrounds me with joy, and it does not necessarily add to the clutter. Another thing that I do is, and I'll show you this one too, pardon me as I grab you, I define my spaces. So this space right here is a defined limited area for a specific type of motivation. These are some of my absolute favorite feedback cards that I've gotten from clients or emails about how our services changed their life or touched them or made a difference. And I keep this in my office to remind me, again, why I'm doing this. What is the point of doing this every day? And these bring me so much happiness. I can't tell you how inspired I am each time at the end of a session I get a hug from a client, or each time at the end of a session they tell me how much that just changed their life and they were able to do something that they could not do before simply because they got control of their space. And it happens all the time. So I wanted to make sure to keep that in my field of vision all the time. But if I were to keep every single one of them, my office would be covered. It would be a wallpaper of feedback cards, and that would detract from what I'm going for. So I define my space by giving myself a certain number of slots. So when a new one comes in, I can decide, is it something even better as far as my motivation that should exchange maybe something that's on the wall? Or is it something where it's really nice and I'm going to put it in my portfolio of all the feedback cards for those days that I do flip through them, but it might not be front of mind. So those are some ways to give yourself some joy without adding to the clutter in your office. One of the things that I love to do is when I travel, I do like memorabilia from travel. Trips are important to me. The time that I've done with friends and family, and even on my own, is important. And some of the events that I've been to and the things that I've done. So when I do travel or do an event, I try to hold on to the things that are actually useful. So I have some weird memorabilia, like really weird. For example, one of the events that I love to do each year, Nathaniel's Hope. This is my favorite cup, and it's from that event. So I keep this cup as opposed to some of the really cute cups with, sock monkeys or gnomes on them. This is my favorite water cup all the time because it reminds me of that event that I do each year. And here's one of my weird ones. People ask me all the time where I got this. It's not all that impressive. It's just a backpack. But this backpack is actually memorabilia from the first time that I went out and recorded at lynda.com. So during my first trip, I needed a backpack, and their General Dollar store, it's a generic version of General Dollar. They had really cheap backpacks. I think I paid $5 for it. I love to use this backpack because every time I do, it reminds me of that trip out to Lynda and the experience that I had and all of the times that I've been out to California to record for lynda.com since then. It all comes rushing back to me. So it's so useful. I've got my sunglasses are from California on a trip where I went over and saw some friends. I've got random things. I've got pens that I love, that are really good writing pens, and they don't look like anything special to anybody else. But I know that I got that pen in Amsterdam, or I got that lip gloss on a trip to Belgium. So these are the things that I like to hold on to that do not add to the clutter, but fill my life with joy. So I hope that you're able to fill your life with some joy and maybe reduce a little bit of the clutter while keeping all of those memories and sentiments and things that are important to you around you. Oh, hi, Holly. So what do I do with memorabilia that I don't need, but I want to remember the event or occasion? There are several ways to deal with this one. Usually the memorabilia itself, I let it go. And sometimes I will take a picture of it in order to make sure that I always remember that event. One of my favorite ways, though, to remind myself of events or occasions, I think I have it over here, do I? I do. Let me grab it. Instead of the memorabilia, I have a travel journal. Now, I am not a big journaler. I don't write long paragraphs about things, and it's just not my cup of tea. But what I do is I'll make a bullet point list of memories from that event. There you are. I'm so sorry about that. I forgot, and I started recording on Wi-Fi again. One of these days I'll learn. But like I was saying, it is with my travel journal. If it's flat, I'll just stick it right in there. Like this is so silly, but it's Velcro from, again, my first time at Lynda. And we had to Velcro so many things to various set pieces in order to make it all fit. But you'll see, it's just bullet points of my memories. So I don't hold on to the memorabilia as much because this is something I will sit and flip through, and that memorabilia will probably be a bullet point. The other way that I will do it is I will try to incorporate, if the memorabilia itself is important, I'll try to incorporate it into something. For example, for my wedding, a couple years ago, I went to California again with my boyfriend at the time, and we got one of those palm frond bouquets he bought for me. Well, I incorporated that into my wedding bouquet. So in the middle is this palm frond bouquet with the other flowers around it, which added so much sentiment to that moment. So I'll reuse it, and while I might not keep that wedding bouquet, for now I am, but one day I may not, that's always going to remind me not only of the wedding, but also of that event, because it's just firmed it up for me. So a lot of the times the memorabilia, I'll either repurpose it or I'll let it go, and I'll just try to incorporate it in some other way. A lot of times with a picture, if I have a picture of the event, great. Sometimes I just take a picture of the memorabilia, and I have a whole photo album of pictures of things, and I'll scroll through, and nobody else would know what these photos are for, but I do. So that's what I do. Thank you for asking such a great question. I really appreciate it, Holly. Well, I hope you learned a few things. If you have any other questions, please always ask me here or in the Facebook group. It's the Home and Office Organizing Ideas by Spark Organizing. Just search for that on Facebook if you're not already a member. But that's a great place, because if you post a question or a photo or a problem on that group, or even just a success, we love to hear the successes, not only I will answer and give you some ideas, but everybody else will too. It's this great mental mastermind group for all of those organizing challenges or to celebrate your success with you. So I hope you join me there. Comment on this if you'd like, and I will look forward to seeing you next Thursday at 11 a.m. when we will continue talking about the office. Thank you so much. Thank you, Teresa. I look forward to seeing you all there then. Have a wonderful day.